once I was able to make money, I was now able to see, okay, I've chased all the clients. I've done all the things. My God, can I just enjoy this now? Because it was almost no longer enjoyable. Hey guys, welcome to Pivot and Profit with Priscilla Grant. Today, this is going to be an episode takeover with my producer, Anna.
I'm super excited about this. Why you look nervous?
I'm not. I'm excited.
Hey guys, I am Anna Gaga. I am the founder here at Adode Media, Adode Studios, and I have been working with Miss Priscilla Grant to bring this show to life. And so I'm excited to put her in the hot seat to ask her some questions about her, pivoting, profiting, her entrepreneurial journey. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
She has no clue how this conversation is about to go. She has there's no prep. And this is not
None.
when I tell you Priscilla is not the type to just she wants to practice. She wants to make sure she knows what we're about to talk about. And that's not what she's getting today. So, first and foremost, what made you decide that entrepreneurship was for you?
I wasn't getting ahead in my job. I did all the things. I went to college. I got my master's degree and I tried to climb the corporate ladder, and there was no ladder for me.
Hmm.
I got the position, and that's where they saw me. That's where I was going to be. And I was just tired of it.
I want deeper than that. So when you say that you weren't getting more than that, why did you want more? Oftentimes we see people who get their masters who do the things and they're happy with that. Why weren't you happy with that within your job? What did you want more of?
I wanted I wanted the ability to be creative. I wanted the ability to lead and and have my ideas followed and prosper. And I would get jobs where I thought I could use my ideas, my creativity to make things better, and I couldn't. There was a blueprint already, and I just had to follow it, and I wasn't comfortable with that.
So why didn't you think of working for a startup? I often hear people talk about the bureaucracies of working at
Mhm,
large corporations and
mhm,
bigger companies. And quite frankly, it's the machine, these organizations have existed for years, it's tried and true.
mhm.
So with that in mind, I always wonder why more people aren't interested in working for other entrepreneurs or working at startup tech companies. What's the desire to go off and do this on your own versus finding somewhere that may have that leeway for it?
Well, prior to working in a Fortune 500 company in tech, I worked for a small real estate agency.
Okay.
And I was getting the things, like I was getting promotions, I was getting, I was being recognized for my talent. And then 2008 hit and the company closed and I was left without a job. So, as much as I liked it and I saw growth there, my eyes were now on the corporate structure because it seemed more stable. And I just never wanted that to happen again.
So it sounds like with stability came rigidness, though.
Yes. Yes, and a little bit too much structure, and for the first time, I wasn't being recognized. For the first time, I'm 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 used to being in the space where people recognize my talent. I did very well in school. I, was top of my class. I went off to the military and took on the hardest job possible. Um, I'm used to being recognized for my talent. And then I get to corporate America and they don't see talent. You're just a worker. And I didn't like that.
Hmm. So wait a minute. Hmm. I think my question to you ends up being then, does it sounds like you became an entrepreneur, which is the most when I tell you nobody recognizes your talent, like nobody. Oftentimes when my team is like, "Oh, Anna, thank you so much for telling me I did a good job." I'm like, I would like somebody to tell me I did a good job every so often. It would be nice. So you left something because of the fact that nobody was recognizing your talent to be in something where nobody
Mhm,
recognizes your talent.
mhm.
How are you dealing with that right now?
It's
Like, how's that going for you?
I mean, as you can see, I'm just out here trying stuff. So, but um, I think I got to a point where I didn't necessarily know entrepreneurship was what I wanted. But when I got into it, I kind of realized, okay, maybe it's not the recognition I was looking for. I thought that's what I wanted. Um, but I find I get my gratification in other ways.
Such as,
Um, I get to see something grow. I get to see something that I start. I get to reach my own milestones. I get to set them. I get to work towards them, and I get to see them come to fruition. Maybe not totally and completely, but in some form. So I'm reaching my goals in some ways. There's a lot of stumbles, there's a lot of failures along the way, but I'm reaching them. And I get to change direction whenever I want to.
whenever you want. Let's hold on now. Wait a minute.
I do.
No, you don't. I call BS.
Listen.
The reason I call BS is because as an entrepreneur, I know that there's a lot of bureaucracies. There's a lot of, clients to answer to and everything like
Mhm.
that. So are you telling me that today you could wake up and be like, you know what, we're changing this whole model tomorrow?
No, no, not in that way. I mean, if I see things going downhill, I get to say, okay, let's how can I flip this and bring it back in that manner? Versus if I'm working at an employer and I see things that aren't good, I see things that I don't think work that are alienating a customer base, I don't get to make those decisions. In my business, I do.
It's less red tape. Like
Yes.
I say I'm a corporate America escapee. Like I escaped with Harriet Tubman in the middle of the night and I didn't look back. I ran for my life. But one of the things I'll say is like, I hated the fact that there was just so many steps to make what was like a simple change.
Mhm,
Like you had to like get this approved, go
mhm,
through that. And I'm like,
mhm.
the building is on fire
Yeah.
now. Like
Shouldn't be that complicated.
if we had gotten it when it was just a bush that was on fire,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be engulfed in flames now. But then I feel like I jumped into entrepreneurship and everything feels like the building is on fire at all times.
Mhm.
So, my question to you is what advice do you have for people in that regard? Because I think until you're in entrepreneurship, you don't realize it's a shit show. And the internet makes you think like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And like you just hire people. And I mean, Priscilla, I still don't understand how you do like $1 million business without staffing. Like, I'm not $1 million business and I got staffing. Okay. There's just no parts of me that could fathom doing this without my team. So, how the heck, like, long way to ask you, how
Yeah.
the heck are you keeping all of this afloat while being able to be agile and addressing things that come up in your business with just you and your husband?
Um, well, I have a great partner, first of all. And we do this together, like everything. And I I like to say I'm learning to be comfortable in chaos. Um, I there was a time when I started business that okay, I remember when I got my first client in senior care. The night before, my very first client, this is about to be big. We're taking off. I got a client, guys. This is when I had my senior care business. That I hired a nurse. We're ready to go. We did all the paperwork, everything signed. The night before, she texts and says, "I'm not coming."
Why?
No reason,
Mm-mm-mm.
no response. I'm not going in tomorrow. So I'm like, why? What's going on? What do you mean? Like she's not responding. She's just not coming. So I've done all the paperwork. This client is waiting for a caregiver to show up. And I lost it. I cried all night. I didn't know what to do. And then the next morning, I got up, I read the regulations. I realized that she wanted a CNA. I wasn't a CNA, but I could go in as a PCA, even though I didn't have the certification. The work that needed to be done, I could do. And I went to work. I went to work for her for 2 weeks. I cleaned, I scrubbed her floors, I scrubbed her tub, I scrubbed her toilet. I did whatever she asked me to do.
I was like, is that what a CNA is supposed to do? I don't know if that was part of the
No,
job.
it's not.
But you were like,
as the customer, she gets to determine, yeah, I don't need you to do those things. I need you to do these things. And that's what I offered her in my contract. So
mm,
when I showed up and she said, yeah, I don't need you to cook for me or give me medicine. I need somebody to clean. That's what I did. So because the business side, the industry that I was in was so unpredictable. I've had nurses not show up for interviews. I've had people hang up on me in the middle of an interview. So it just put me in a space where I don't fall apart when things fall apart.
So hold on, because you said a lot. I don't know if you guys heard that, because the whole premise of this episode takeover is for people to kind of get a better understanding as to who Priscilla is. And I feel like she's never going to actually take the time to like really delve into it. And until you kind of get her to talking before you learn that she done been through it. So the thing I think that we don't talk enough about as entrepreneurs is when you make the decision to hire, when you make the
Mhm.
decision to have a brick and mortar, you have a physical place you have to be now,
Yes.
and you basically are hiring people in a skill set and in a role that you cannot do yourself.
Yes.
You are not a nurse, like it's when people are like, oh, I booked for a photographer and I had to learn photography real quick
Mhm.
because I was like,
Mhm.
okay, they didn't show up to work today. What am I supposed to do? It's today.
Yeah.
And so how does that work? Like being fully reliant on another person. And I think when I think of business, I thought like, I would be the one like, running things and relying on myself and my abilities and I'm this and I'm that. Well, when you have a team and you have people, you have to rely on them. How did you build that muscle to feel confident? How do you build that muscle to be able to take time away with your family, vacation?
Um, I I haven't learned to rely on people as much.
Ooh.
Hence why I don't have a team. Not that I haven't tried. I've had a lot of disappointments, and me not being able to rely on people causes me a lot of stress. So, yeah, the business is making money. Yeah, we're doing well, but I have put a lot more stress on myself than I probably need to
Mm.
because of my inability to rely on people. I've had a lot of people quit on me. Not a lot, but I've put my trust in people, and people are going to do what's best for them at the end of the day, not what's best for you and your business.
Ooh, that's a message.
So, um it was hard for me to comprehend that. I felt like if I sold you, like I'm selling you the vision here, like you see where I'm going, so you're all in, but that's not true. So for me, that part has been a real struggle. I haven't really grasped, um, just delegating.
Mm. Do you think it's a thing of like, and I'll say this because I have a team of about 15. I think we just grew to 20 people.
Wow.
It's not for the weak of heart. I'm not a person who like I'll forget to say good job every single day. Like
Mm.
if you submit something and you did it, like if I said good job earlier today, everything you submit, I'm just like, huh, I gotta say it again. Or I recognize like, everybody is very different. Like that having a team, you
Yeah.
realize that you have to really be 30 people in one because how you talk to Mary versus how you talk to Paul versus how you talk to
Mhm.
Matthew is very different versus
Mhm.
how you talk to the people in the studio. Like all of these things, everybody requires a different version of you based off of
Yes.
their personalities. But at the same token, I know for me, like leaving, like I had surgery and leaving the studio for somebody else to run. I remember going into surgery and be like, instead of praying about the surgery, I was like, Father God, just don't let my business go down in flames. Just Jesus, please. But it's a muscle because of kind of the trauma, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And I think as entrepreneurs, we put it back on ourselves. The first thing you said is that you haven't learned how to delegate.
Mhm.
But I hate to be the one to tell you. It's not that you haven't learned to delegate, it's that you haven't found anybody who's able to take the delegation that you give.
Agreed.
Because here's the thing,
Agreed.
if we found people who just did well out the gate,
Yeah.
baby, we would give it all.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to help me? Say less. Here is everything.
Mhm.
But it's not that. You haven't found people. So I think my question to you is how like you still haven't told me how you're doing all of this. Like, how is it possible you homeschool your kids? Like, you do a lot.
Yeah.
How I need you to tell me. I need step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How is it possible that without a team, you are able to manage this many different like sites and a whole other business, government contracting
Yeah,
and going to these events and traveling outside the country? Like, I'm saying all these things to jog your memory. So, because I need you to think
I
through
got
it.
it. So one, I my phone's never off. Like I just learned how to use do not disturb.
What?
Yeah,
So, when you went to bed at night, like, walk me through it. It's 10 to 11 o'clock at night. Somebody calls you, you would answer the phone?
there was a time my husband put a stop to that, but I mean, I've had a client call me at 3 in the morning to curse me out about her nurse quitting and put her disabled child on the phone to tell me in tears how sad she was. And I'm on the phone for an hour
She
trying to
not know
console the child.
that the nurse was quitting before 3 o'clock in the morning?
I'm not sure when she knew, but
But
at some point at
that's when
3
she
a.m., that's when she decided to
call
go
you.
in. So
It was at 3 o'clock in the morning. She said, "You know what? I'm
yes, she
tired
was
of
done.
this.
She was done.
Wake the baby up.
yeah,
Everybody call her right
yes,
now."
yes,
Okay.
get him on the phone. And I listened, but phone's always on.
But I have a question about that.
Mhm.
What made you decide to answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I always answer for my clients.
Mm.
I can't not answer. I'm just now learning again. My husband has had to just be like, nah, this is not working. So now on the weekends, I don't pick up my phone.
You see how she said weekends? That tells me that she sneaks into the back of the house to answer the phone on the low where her husband doesn't see. Because the way she said on the
On the
weekends,
weekends,
I don't believe
I don't
that.
answer the phone.
And emails
Um,
on the weekends?
emails must be answered.
No, they must not. Do you not have business hours?
I do. Those are hours that I don't answer the phone on the weekends. I respond to emails.
So you're a 24/7 business
I
via
am
email.
I am, yeah.
So there are no office
Yes.
hours.
No, on vacation. I mean, even outside of the healthcare business, with the laundry business, I remember being in Turkey and, oh no, Singapore. And it's a 12-hour time difference.
Mhm.
So, you know, 8 in the
No.
morning, the store's supposed to be open, but it's 8 p.m. there and the store's not open. So we're in crisis, you know? And same thing with the healthcare business. It's just,
How is so this is what I want to stop for y'all to hear this. Priscilla, you literally put everything of yourself on the line.
yeah.
Like, I'm a firm believer that what we do is not nobody will die if we somehow didn't show up at the studio. Nobody. And if somebody does die, we have bigger problems on our hands. You're telling me you're in Singapore and somebody did not show up at the laundromat, right?
Mhm.
So if nobody can do laundry today, what happens? It's a day of profit that you do not get. Don't get me wrong. But I have really gotten to a space in life of just where it's like, if the place is not open, I mean, I will give you a refund. I will apologize profusely.
So
But
I think
why?
I think you have to understand, like, and again, the person you are is the person that you're going to show up as in your
Mhm.
business. I didn't necessarily have boundaries in my personal relationship. And I'm just learning how to develop. I've just developed those. So I went into business with no boundaries.
Mm.
I didn't set, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I went into business saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Whatever it requires, I'm going to do it. If it requires me to answer the phone at 3 in the morning. So the mom doesn't feel bad or doesn't feel abandoned if it requires me to answer my phone on vacation. So one of my main customers who comes in every Saturday can wash her laundry. I'm going to do that. Like whatever the job requires, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it, even if it requires all of me.
Okay. Now that season of life, because I get it. I used to be that person, and I remember sleeping at the studio all the time
Yeah.
because somehow I don't know why I thought like I think I saw other studios that were open 24/7. So I was like, I too will be that. And I didn't think of the fact that these people have staff and they're like co-owned and I'm by myself. This is stupid. Why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
And it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and one person's getting done and the next person's gonna be here at 9. So why am I going home? That's 45 minutes away. I guess I'm sleeping here. Until one day I looked at my bank account and it was a good amount of money.
Mhm.
But I couldn't have told you the last time I had seen outside of the studio. Because back then that studio had a shower. I hadn't been home in a month.
Mm.
A month had passed and I had not seen my house because of the mere fact that I was just there.
Yeah.
And things changed drastically. I
Yeah.
mean, we are closed on Mondays. I mean,
I like that.
or no, we're closed on Sundays and Mondays. I don't
Mhm.
answer the phone. I don't look at it. Um, when it's after hours, I mean, Priscilla, let's be honest. Half the time, who was emailing you? It's not me. I see you in the studio. We have a kiki and we have a good time. And then you leave and I don't talk to you again
Yeah.
until our next scheduled call because it's somebody else's job.
Yeah.
Because my zone of genius is this. So my question to you is now that you've learned this, when what is your zone of genius in your business and how do you offset that?
So, like you said something, which was where I got my moment as well. Like, said you looked in your bank account and you saw a nice amount of money there. And you were like, okay.
This is ridiculous. This is ghetto. Why am I doing this?
So once I was able to make money, I was now able to see, okay, I've chased all the clients. I've done all the things. My God, can I just enjoy this now? Because it was almost no longer enjoyable.
Mm.
I was burning out and and also it was another reason why I kind of hopped from business to business because I lost my creativity. So now I'm at the point where I'm trying to get that back. I'm trying to make business enjoyable in some respects. It's not always going to be enjoyable, but I work hard enough to enjoy some parts of it. So I I'm setting boundaries. I'm not answering my phone on the weekends.
That was unbelievable.
I I put everything in my calendar. Everything is in my calendar from my kids' classes to I'm learning how to put breaks in my calendar. So I'm trying to, like I said, I'm using do not disturb. My kids are not included in the do not disturb, but everybody else is. Um, I'm trying to establish boundaries in business because it's not only about making money now. When I started, it was just about making money. There's no purpose in this if I'm not making money. So, and now that I've sacrificed myself and everything else, honestly, and I've made some money, I need to now go back and recover myself. I need to go back and build structure, which I wish I would have done in the beginning.
I feel like I feel like you just said a word because I don't think we talk enough about the fact that when we are in the build stage, in the grind stage, how
Mhm.
much we put everything on the line because
Yeah.
of the fact that it's do or die.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, we don't want to ever look back and feel like we didn't do something, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. But hindsight is always 2020 because then you feel like, dang, I really wish I put these boundaries in place because now
Mhm.
it's hard to like undo.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give an example. And it's still stuck to me because to this day, I feel like it has always hurt my spirit. It was my first clients. Love them to death, these two men. And I will never forget that it was just me back then. And I remember when I needed to like up their pricing, like I was the one who was on during their recordings. They were all the way in California, but I was, joining their recording calls. I remember being on vacation with my family, getting on the recording calls. They did not need me on these calls. It was just to sit there and basically listen, give insights, all of these things. And so when I started deciding, you know what, I need to pull back some, my
Mhm.
team is now helping with some things. I'm not actually making money by producing your show because by the time I'm done paying everyone, and they told me I wasn't worth what they were paying. Like I wasn't worth what they were already even paying. Like, and I remember being so devastated because I'm now like trying to put a set boundary in place. And I think having boundaries when new clients come in, very easy because they
Yeah.
don't know any different.
Yeah.
Versus like existing clients when it's like you're used to like texting me and
Yeah.
calling me
Yeah.
and me.
Yeah.
Now when it's anybody else on team, you're like, you're not capable. Where's Anna? And it's like, she's asleep. Like we and you are on the closer
Yeah.
time zone. So I just
Yeah.
like this. How do you feel about going into this like basically new season of your business
Yeah.
and setting boundaries with, I assume, existing clients as well? How has that been for you? And what fears or challenges are you worried about? Because I know other people worry about that. Cause baby, I wish somebody gave me some advice before I did it because I was ill prepared. Was not crying when them people told me I wasn't worth it.
Honestly, just as I said before, who you are will show up in your business. So I didn't start with my business. I started with my relationships. I started putting boundaries with my
Mm,
family. I started putting boundaries with my friends. I started putting boundaries with my kids. So if I can do that with them, I can definitely do it with a customer. So I mean, and not that they're not as valuable, but it's like these are people that I've had relationships with since birth. So if I can look into my personal life and I can change who I am there, then it'll be easy to transition that over to my business. But I think it's unrealistic to think that you're going to be one person in business and then go home and be somebody else in your personal
you
life.
don't think there's a way to compartmentalize?
I think there's a way to compartmentalize some things. I
Hmm.
think if you have traits in life that hinder you in certain ways, they will hinder you in business and vice versa. So you're not going to be able to this is me personally. You're not I don't think you're going to be able to correct those traits over here and then still have those traits negatively affect you personally.
Sure.
So, I had to get a handle on one, where did it come from?
The root.
Where did my issue of establishing boundaries come from? From childhood, likely. So I need to go back and correct that and figure out, why do I have to have everybody like me? Why do I have to show up for everybody? Why am I so, it scares me if somebody's upset with me. If I can get a handle on that, then I'm okay with telling my client, like, no, just no, period.
There's
just,
nothing else coming after that. The
just
answer is just
just
no.
no. And walking away, not beating myself up for it. Because again, I'm not hyper focused on the money right now. I'm hyper focused on the growth and the longevity and the scalability. So if I have to walk away from a client, I'm okay with that.
But you just said a word though. So one of my sayings that I say often is how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mhm,
So whenever people are like, I always find it fascinating when people like come to visit me and they're always like shocked that my house is very like meticulous, like
mhm,
organized.
mhm,
And I'm always like, why would you think it would be any other way? Like
mhm,
I'm like this. This is me.
mhm.
So whenever I have friends who like want to start businesses and they're like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" They always think that they're asking me from the perspective of the idea, when in actuality, I'm typically evaluating them.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and I don't know how else to say it, but it's like, I don't think entrepreneurship might be for you.
yeah.
And so my question to you is, as you are meeting other entrepreneurs who are probably in that same boat of, we all have stuff from childhood, from just life.
Mhm.
How would you recommend somebody takes inventory of understanding like the things that could potentially hinder them in their business? Because we don't know, like some of the things that some of the things I had, let me say this clearly. Entrepreneurship has been my biggest mirror, my biggest like
Yes.
growth factor. I managed teams of 20, 30 people in corporate America. It didn't grow me in the same way, even remotely, as having a team and having my own business. And the mirror and just like how I've grown and seeing how the people here are different, how they've grown. So I think my question to you is, how do we identify that in ourselves before we're in the trenches? Because baby, in the trenches is not for the weak. Because then it feels too late.
And that's the worst place to
Because now you about to fall apart.
Yeah. So I think there's a few things in life that hold up a mirror to you. One, children, two, marriage, and businesses. Kids are going to show you who you are. You'll see it in them by what you put in them sometimes. As they get older, you'll see it. Marriage, people always say marriage is so hard, it's so difficult. I think marriage becomes easy when you stop trying to work on your partner and start trying to work on yourself.
Ooh.
And then
wait a minute. That was I think we might need that message even in relationships, baby, because that do we need to have a pivot conversation on relationships? Because baby, that was a word, but okay, go on. Sorry.
I can't fix an adult. The only adult I can fix is me. Sometimes I can't fix my kids. So if I'm in a relationship and I can work on me and you can work on you, we'll meet in the middle and we'll see that reciprocated in our relationship. So in business, oftentimes your business isn't working because of you. It's not your customer base. It's not what you're selling. It's not your product. It's not your service. It's you're not good at management. You're not good at leadership. You're not good at finance. It's you sometimes. And again, that you bleeds in from your personal life. Because if you're one of the first things we did, I've always thought I was good with money. I budget. I still have an Excel spreadsheet with all my bills on it. I have never let a light utility get cut off.
She is serious.
However, when I first got my SBA loan, we did all the things. We wrapped 2 cars. We paid somebody for marketing. Any problem that I saw in business, I threw money at it because I had money.
They say money will teach you how you really are. And I get it. I get it because
listen,
a little bit of money made me realize I'd rather pay somebody to get something done in a heartbeat than do it myself.
However,
that money goes by fast.
It does. And you still have to pick and choose what. So I never had a whole lot of money. So budgeting was easy. But now I
trying to budget a good few zeros.
There's coins in here. So therapy. Long answer short. I just mean we talk about therapy in our personal lives, but I believe I read a stat that said like entrepreneurs are some of the most depressed and sometimes suicidal people. Therapy has not just gotten me through my personal life, it has gotten me through business because I have experienced some of the biggest disappointments in business that I've ever experienced in my life. It's one thing to have somebody else disappoint you, it's another thing to disappoint yourself.
Ooh. That is true. that is true because sometimes it does feel like, not sometimes, you will sometimes drop the ball. And you can't be upset with anybody else but yourself. And I swear for God, being upset with yourself is annoying because there's really not, you can't really do anything about it.
You're just mad all inside. You're just
mad on the inside. Like, at least when you're upset with somebody, you can yell about it. You could call people and vent about it. Have you ever tried to vent to somebody about being mad at yourself? They're looking at you like, okay. Well, like, what was that about? You're like, I don't know.
And then being a person of accountability, I am big on accountability. So not only am I upset at myself, but I'm like, yeah, I just did it. I suck.
Like, I'm horrible at life. And I don't know why anybody trusts me with anything. Like, because clearly I'm inadequate. And like, I just make bad decisions and I shouldn't be trusted. I get it. Because I've had many of those moments of like, I'm slow. I thought I was smart and I'm not.
I really thought I was good at this.
We all have those moments of just like, I should just go get a job.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, The fascinating
Yeah.
thing is the amount of times that I've looked for a job, even when my business is doing well, because I'm like, I'm tired or decision fatigue. And I want to talk to
Oh.
you about that because I don't feel
Oh.
like we talk about that enough. And I love that you brought up the fact that with entrepreneurs, we do suffer from depression and all
Yeah.
these things. But I honestly think it comes down to having so many things to do
Yeah.
in just one day. And decision fatigue, for those who may not be like very familiar, I feel like the first time I heard it, I was like, huh, is honestly just like being tired from all the decisions you have to make in a
Mhm.
day. And, some days I wish I could just have a day where somebody just tells me all the things I need to do. And I just go do that. And then that's it. I don't do
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm like carried it. I've gone too far. Because I'm like, and then I'm carried into bed after because I don't want to do anything else. But decision fatigue is where it's just like you are literally tired of making decisions. Like the
Yeah.
notion that there's anything else to even decide. Like I remember one week I did not eat for like 4 days. You want to know why? There was no food in the house. And the thought of having to figure out what I was going to eat, what I was going to cook, I just decided not to eat. And this is how we got to the point where my mom now comes in and she cooks for me.
Listen.
But I literally went 4 days without eating. So I think my question for you, because like I have a team. And so days that I don't feel like making decisions, I tell them to figure it out. I literally send them a Slack message, group everybody. Hey, a little tired today, a little overwhelmed. This week is week to me. And it might be Wednesday. And I want y'all to know I can't make any more decisions this week. So I won't be. I won't be reviewing any of your work. I won't
Mm.
be responding to anything. I'm alive, just so you know. But I'm done. So whatever things need to be figured out, work amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
And if any mistakes are made, a mistake was made. Best of luck to all of you. And I
Mm.
clock out for the week.
Wow.
I still come to work. I go through the motions in the studio.
Oh.
But as far as the decisions of like, what lower third color should we use? And is the color grading nice? And the thumbnail? And this client wants us to upload at 12:52 and not 1 o'clock. Like, I don't care. Don't talk to me about that. Figure it out without me. So my question for you is without the team, you don't get to just be like, well,
Mm-mm.
that's it this week.
Mm-mm.
Wednesday was enough. How do you deal with decision fatigue and just honestly burnout from like life and everything? Because baby, you do a lot.
It's a really big point of contention, even in my marriage. Um, there are times like, we're driving. It's like I'm like, where you want to eat at? Oh, wherever you want to eat at. No, no, we're not doing that. I don't know where I want to eat at. Like I just,
I want you to decide. Just tell me.
yes. So
But do you then say no to whatever he says? That's the bigger question.
at times.
Okay. All right. All
But
right.
you gave me choices. Like that you gave me a choice. At least give me a choice. Throw me out some options. Give me a lifeline here. So I have something to choose from.
I have to be on my friend's side with this one, but it's okay. I know where you're going with it. So continue on.
But it is really hard because I have 4 teenagers in college.
Mm.
Um, the last 3 are taking college classes. They're finishing up their homeschool. But I got to guide you in what major we're doing. And no, I'm not paying a college tuition for a degree in painting. I I think
They
you'd
could
be
be the
better.
next Picasso.
I just,
Oh, let me find out you're not over here
I don't-
support your child's
I,
dreams.
I very much support it. However,
You've seen their paintings.
great paintings.
Wait, so what's the problem?
I don't think you need a degree for that. And especially not from one of the most expensive art schools in the state.
Maybe they want to go the advertising route and work for advertising companies and illustration and original designs. And they do need degrees for that.
Agreed. So let's get a degree in advertising.
But no, the art side of advertising you require. I'm trying to help you.
I don't think the job requirements was for a bachelor's degree in painting. So I got to steer you this way. So I'm already steering young minds. So it is stressful. It is very, very stressful. And again, I put into practice the things I want to change in my personal life before I try it out. in my
She
business.
said, my family are my test guinea pigs.
Exactly.
We do a little test run, see how it goes.
That's what it is.
And then we say, okay, clients, here we go.
It's R&D. It's research and development. If I can do it here. So with my kids, I'm like, what are we eating for dinner? I don't know.
How do you deal with that?
Go up to bed.
You go to bed?
You figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you then eat?
Whatever my husband cooks for me.
Anybody looking for a wife? I am 5'10", 36 years old. I too would like husbands who cook and
Because I'm
brings
not
me food.
making the decision here.
I just want to be clear. I too would like to not make those decisions, and I'm available. So, reach out to Priscilla, and she'll do a pre-qualification screening, and then we can go from there. Anyway, back to this, because the husband sounds like the cheat code. It sounds like the cheat code. That's what I'm hearing.
It's self-respect.
Cheat code, like
Listen.
having a partner helps with that decision
My
fatigue.
God, I don't know what I would do if I didn't. I just don't. And again, it is a point of contention because sometimes he's so used to me just making the decision, and he'll even be like, hey, what do you need help with? And I'm just like, I don't even know.
You know what?
I don't know.
He's my friend, but I got to get on him about that one. Because it's the same way whenever, like, let's say you're sick, or even like I had surgery. The amount of times people are like, well, let me know what you need. Baby, don't ask me that. I don't know. Well, you didn't call me. I needed it then when I realized
whatever it was.
It was in the moment. And so it's the same notion, like in business, of like, I think people often want you to like, well, tell me what you need. And it's like, that takes time for me to think.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't have that time. And so it's not until it's time to do it that I'm now like, okay, this is something I need to be doing. And I think one of the big things I would have as a recommendation for anybody who is a spouse of an entrepreneur, who works for an entrepreneur, who is a friend of an entrepreneur, take a look at their routines. Like pay attention to the small things, the little things that you can take off their plate. Like when my mom was here visiting, she recognized that every day when it was time to leave for the morning, I was always rushing to like pack my lunch, to head out the door, pack my snacks, make my tea. So she turned it into her own. I did not ask this woman to do this. She started warming up my tea, having it in a cup, and she packed my lunchbox and put it at the front door.
Wow.
Because the one time I did it myself, apparently I left it. And just that little thing of like not having to think of packing my lunch, and the extra few minutes it gave me to drink my tea at like my patio on the deck, and not have to think of, okay, what am I packing for lunch? What am I putting for snacks? It just changed my morning. And she's gone now. She left and went back home.
Lord.
And I just want you guys to know I'm struggling.
She'll be back. She comes every.
Yeah, but still, it was such a pleasure. But that's honestly like my biggest advice for anybody. It's like, just watch their habits. I think my question for you is, if you had to tell somebody how they could best help you, best support you, best be in community with you, what would you recommend?
I hate when people make me feel bad for who I am. The comment, you don't ever call anybody.
Wait. Say that again.
I hate when people make me feel bad for who I am. I beat myself up enough. So when you make the comment, you don't tell anybody when you're going through things. You don't ever call anybody. You don't check up on me. I'm doing the best I can.
I'm just holding it.
I'm doing the best. I guarantee you, if you call me, I'll pick up or I'll call you back.
Phones work both ways.
My cousin, Christina, my best friend, Stephanie, they're really good about it. My best friend will say, oh, you gave me a hug today. I'm so proud of you.
You're not affectionate.
I'm not affectionate. And she will point out when she sees me trying, when she sees me trying to give her what I know she needs. My cousin will call and say, hey, I hadn't talked to you in a while. I'm just calling. We'll sit on the phone we talked on the phone for 5 hours yesterday.
A bit much, but okay.
It is excessive, but I needed to unload on
Okay.
somebody besides my husband. So
He said he
and she
needed a break.
allows me to do that.
Okay.
We unload on each other, but you know who I am, and you accept the good parts about me that supports you and that's there for you and that's a shoulder to lean on and that's it gives you advice. But the one part that I'm not so great at, you hold against me. And I don't have the capacity for that because I hold so much against myself that I just don't have the capacity to deal with people. I'm not saying don't point out my faults. I'm not saying that.
Of course not.
But just
Give me a second. I'm human. Folks want to give you feedback today and tomorrow they want to change. What have you done in 24 hours to be better? And you're like,
I'm trying. I'm not the best at keeping contact. I'm not the best because I'm overwhelmed and you know that. So to support somebody that's an entrepreneur, you have to comprehend that just because they're making money or just because their business is successful doesn't mean their life is just as successful.
ooh,
Doesn't mean they're mentally or emotionally as successful as that business. They are to have a successful business.
Your
It takes
mental-
a toll.
your mental kind of almost has to like.
You gotta be a little crazy.
Little ding, you know? It has to get a little antidepressant every so often to get you back on track.
Say it.
To wrap this up, because this has absolutely been an amazing conversation. I
Yes.
love the elements around people accepting you for who you are, but also recognizing that as entrepreneurs, I wish more people would just recognize if I come across your mind, please just call me. Do not wait around for me to call you because, baby, I've had 50,000 things happen and it's 2 o'clock in the morning when I remembered I should call you. And
It
it's too
usually
late.
is. And I'm
Like,
still up.
wide awake.
Sending you memes.
Like, I'm over here communicating. I'm like, hey, girl. And you're asleep. So if you think of me, call me. Now, granted, my life is a little different because I own a studio, so I do not typically answer the phone because I am here. But at the same token, it's always fascinating when people are like, well, I call you, you don't even answer. And it's like, you do know what I do, right? So it's just giving that grace, extending the grace. My question, last thing for you is for any entrepreneurs who are listening to this episode, like who might be in the trenches, who might be feeling all of the things and don't have the bank account to back it up just yet. What advice would you have for them to help them, like, get to that next phase in their business and personal life as a whole?
One would be to extend yourself the same grace you want other people to extend you. Like I said, I'm really hard on myself sometimes. And, I'll tell my husband, I don't feel productive today. And he's like, so what?
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, take a nap.
He said, have a
Go
Snickers.
to, go to sleep.
Go to bed. That's what's going on.
But I
You went to
slept
bed
last night.
You'd be like, you slept for 2 hours. You didn't even hit REM sleep yet.
I'm very focused on being productive, doing something productive every day. And every day does not have to be. Productivity is also taking care of yourself. So give yourself just a little bit of grace. And I have a bad thing about always being in a rush. I always feel behind. I feel
Oh.
behind in life. I feel like I'm running late. Like
Where you finna go?
I don't know. But just slowing down and just enjoying the moment. I will get a win and I'm moving right on to what's next on the agenda. So I am really learning to just slow it down
Celebrate.
and take it in, celebrate it, you know. That's a big thing. Taking the small wins. You didn't hit 1 million, but you hit 500,000. That's huge.
Do you know how many businesses don't even see close to that number?
Yeah.
So just in case nobody else told
I
you
know.
that. I think I ask ChatGPT every so often stats about other businesses, like
Hmm.
people in my business, and I feel better. I do. Just being honest.
I mean, even the longevity, like even making it to 2 or 3 or 4 years is huge.
Look, y'all may not like AI, but every so often, if I'm
I
feeling
love
a little
AI.
down, I let ChatGPT say some nice words to me.
I say thank you to
Oh, yeah.
Chat GPT.
I say just because in case it ever decides to go against the masses.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
No, I want it to know I'm a nice.
I want to have a
kind.
relationship with my, like I don't. When you decide to,
Yeah, I want you to know
just
that we
want
were
you to
friends,
remember me.
that we friends. Like put me on the do not kill list. Like I was kind to you. I say please and thank you. I told it to look up a restaurant recently and I was like, would you like it? And it was like, it can't answer that. I was like, at least I tried. But either way, I want people to know that who she is in front of this camera is who she is in real life. I'm gonna let you close it out, or do you want me to close it out? Because I mean, at this point, it's my show. Hey,
You close it out. You just took over.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was such a pleasure to step from behind the camera to be able to interview Miss Priscilla Grant on her own show, and have you guys learn a little bit more about her entrepreneurial journey, and really just her background and just all the amazing things that she does. And the fact that she does it all, which is her husband, I still cannot fathom. But if you guys liked what you saw today, please, please, please make sure you like, subscribe, share it with a friend, let us know in the comments what you would like to hear from the show next. Like, we are curating an experience where she's able to give you her wealth of knowledge and information. So this is your opportunity to learn from an amazing entrepreneur. And so until next time, you guys have a great one. And once again, I'm Anna Gogo, your podcast producer. If you need some help, let me know.
Bye, guys.